Hey, you are along for the ride with the Mad Dog and Cole. Who am I? Farrell.
Speed isn't what's scary. Impact is scary.
True.
I decided to fly through the air and live in the sunlight and enjoy life as much as I could, and that's just what I'm doing.
Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm. Everybody stay calm. What's the procedure? Stay calm. Wait.
All right, man. Thank you so much, Mr. Evil Knievel, for those inspiring words. Just living in the sunlight, flying through the air, doing what he loved. What a great way to live, man. We should all take a slice of that. And of course, while we're thanking people, how about Kicker Performance Audio? Find them at kicker.com. And undoubtedly, the king of eyewear, Bomber Eyewear, Bomber Floating Eyewear, Bomber Safety Eyewear. Find them at bombereyewear.com. Of course, on Instagram, be sure and look up the Premix Podcast. That is the @ symbol ThePremixPodcast. Find our man Cole sharing his passion for all things desert racing through the lens and general media. Also, send him a message. He may be at your next race and may have time to shoot you, so to speak.
Theoretically.
Of course, Kelsey Morrell Film. Find her on Instagram at Kelsey Morrell Film, making our YouTube channel popular and usable, as well as using the new YouTube podcast playlists. Be sure and check us out. That is Mad Dog Space Media, MAddOG MEDIA. Look for our logo on YouTube.
And most importantly, have to thank our first responders, the brave men and women of this country, and our armed forces, especially as Memorial Day is closing in here. You know, it's not just a day for barbecues. It's not just a day to skip work. So much more than that. And we just have to be so thankful for all that the men and women of this country do so that we can have this podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. And with Memorial Day coming up so quickly, man, great words, Cole. Great words. I felt compelled to tell a story about Memorial Day, and what it means to me, as seen basically starting off through the eyes of a kid and growing up to an adult. So, I have several family members that are in the military currently, and, thank you for your service. Memorial Day is about those who have served, who gave all, POW, MIAs, and the families around them, celebrating the families around them that truly lost all. So, with that, I'm going to transition into my story. I think I'm going to tell you about my Uncle Hubert. My Uncle Hubert was a rancher in Texas, and that's what I knew him as. He was a postman and a rancher. As I even got to spend some time down on his ranch, and we went fishing for snapping turtles and bass in his ponds, and I threw hay bales. I probably worked my butt off, but I enjoyed it back then. I drove his old farm truck. Man, we had a lot of good times every time I was able to visit him. And as I got a little older, I realized my Uncle Hubert had been a serviceman, was a veteran. And as I pried into that, I learned that my Uncle Hubert was a prisoner of war during World War II.
Wow.
Yeah. So he was part of a giant mission. He was a B 17 co pilot and navigator. He had done a mission. He'd flown several sorties successfully. And, you know, it's one of those things, man. It catches up with you. They had, through his words, they had a rash of illness go through the base in England. And he had gotten back from a sortie with his normal crew, and they were looking for people to help out with the next sortie, which was going after a major airfield inside Germany. He stepped up and volunteered to jump in with a flight crew that was relatively new, 7 or 8 sorties in a B-17G, which he was incredibly familiar with. That's what he cut his teeth on and been a part of for his military career up till the 16th of August, 1944. He boarded Boston Bombshell at about 8 in the morning. They took off about 10 in the morning. And many of these sorties were very, very long. They headed out for the airfield strike. Their fighter support had reached their max and had to turn back. Unfortunately, the incoming fighter support was a little late. When they got over Germany, their fighter support still wasn't there. In true American fashion, they went for it anyways. And the 91st Bomb Group lost 13 B-17Gs that day.
Wow.
Just over Germany. So there's let me see. It was basically a pretty disastrous situation. No fighter support. Messerschmitts coming in hot, lobbing 20 and 30 millimeter exploding shells because they were still too far away to actually get them with their machine guns. A lot of chaos. Boston Bombshell was flying in the number 3 position, which was commonly called the coffin corner, because you were quite exposed out there. I'm not a historian. I have a newspaper article written the day after my Uncle Hubert went for a ride in a B-17G. And this was Monday, June 9th, 2003. He's a decorated war hero, member of the United States Army Air Force. I had to take my glasses off. In his final bombing run, they were attacked by Nazi fighters. 2 of the craft's 4 engines immediately caught fire. The plane jolted, then jackknifed and spun into a dive from 27,000 feet above Marhausen, Germany. Second Lieutenant Carpenter looked towards several of his crewmates. They were dead or dying. Bail out, an injured airman shouted to the wiry kid from Pittsburgh, Texas. Now. Carpenter heeded the order and jumped out an escape hatch, donning his chute first. German planes buzzed through the smoke-filled air, and German soil awaited him below. Seconds later, his B-17 exploded. 1944, Lieutenant Carpenter's landing involved a busted leg, a German soldier capturing him at gunpoint, and the Nazi military interning him for half a year in a POW camp in occupied Poland. 7 of the 9 men aboard his plane died. Whew. Here's another explanation. Navigator of the Boston bombshell, Second Lieutenant Hubert Carpenter, was working on his mission log as the action began to unfold. The Taglier, Sergeant Leslie Algie, yelled at him that he thought he saw fighters. At that instant, cannon fire raked Boston bombshell from one end to the other. The left wing was set ablaze. On the number 1, number 2 engines, and the Fortress immediately started spinning downward. Algie raised up out of his seat to leave the aircraft. Carpenter snapped on his chest pack chute, held onto the brace above the nose hatch to steady himself, moved to the opening. There he saw Lieutenant Dunlap lying on the catwalk. Just then, Dunlap came to and told Carpenter to open the escape hatch. Carpenter kicked it open and jumped, followed by Dunlop. Almost immediately, Boston bombshell blew up. Only Carpenter and Dunlop survived. To me, he was. Go ahead.
Only word that even comes to mind is unimaginable.
Yeah. Yeah, we have it so soft now, you know?
Yeah, it's not to distract you. I mean, but the bravery is so understated. I wouldn't want to ride in a B-17, not even in wartime.
Right.
And just to hear, and that's one story of unfortunately many, but yeah, please continue.
I later on in life, probably not too long before my Uncle Hubert passed, I had the opportunity to talk to him on the phone, and he knew I shared a passion and interest. And as hard as it was for him, I was blessed to have him recount in his words the entire flight, all the way to capture and beyond, which I'm not going to go beyond. There was a lot of details that you can imagine that we don't need to know. But I will tell you that he told me it was a very young crew, very, very green crew he was flying with. He looked around, he saw bodies, he saw Dunlop. He kicked the hatch open. He jumped out. Dunlop jumped out after him. With the plane being engulfed in flames, he had his whereabouts enough after being shot down, basically, to know not to open his chute. immediately because of the flames and everything else. He reached out and grabbed Dunlop, a rookie, wrapped his arms around him until they were a safe distance, pushed him away, pulled his chute, and then pulled his own chute. There were two other crewmen that jumped out, very inexperienced, immediately deployed their chutes. Unfortunately, their chutes were incinerated, and he had to watch them fall. For all of you thinking Memorial Day is a barbecue and a chance to party, think about that. The true bravery to this day of our service people, the things they face, the things they don't tell people, the things they don't tell the news. Props and respect. To me, he was a Texas rancher, a mailman, hell of a soldier, and a big influence on my life. So he made his way through, he carried on, and he was a great guy.
Can you imagine the pace of life coming home after literally the biggest war in human history?
Yes. I can't imagine. And to adapt and adjust and get back to his wife after, he was a late release, one of the last few released. I believe he was interned until 1946. He was released the 16th of August. I'm sorry, the 25th of February, 1946.
Yeah, really late.
He was shot down 16 August 1944.
Right towards the end.
Yep. Yep. And he'd been there flying, dropping bombs. The medals didn't mean anything to him. He told me getting back in that B-17 was awesome. But one of the scariest things he'd ever done in his entire life. Said just being back in there, he could hear the fighters, he could hear the gunfire. And he said, you got to face that stuff sometimes.
Not many people do. Majority of people wouldn't.
No. So, on this Memorial Day, I want to raise a toast to my Uncle Hubert. And I want to thank some of those that have gone already and passed. The Vikings' grandfather, Major Richard Vernon Hill, U.S. Army. Great man, great influence on her life. I only had the opportunity to meet him a couple times. I sure would have liked to have heard him tell his stories. He worked single-handedly on a mission called Miss X. Single-handedly 600 miles inside Japanese-occupied China, extricating downed American and Allied flyers. In his almost year there, he was a friend to the Chinese. The Chinese villagers helped him build an airstrip. They built an airstrip, and in his just under a year there, he was solely responsible for the safe extrication of 46 downed American and Allied airmen.
Think of all the families and friends and hometowns that benefited from that man, and we'll never know his name.
Yep, you're absolutely correct. So, this is going to be a short episode. But I really want to say, for all those in our service, all those families who've lost loved ones on duty, all those POWs, all those KIAs and unaccounteds, we respect you. We thank you. We appreciate you. I pray for you every day. Man, it probably wouldn't have hit me this hard had I not been on my way to the Gallup, New Mexico Kicker Monster Truck show last week. Pulled out of Holbrook, Arizona after a fuel and pee stop, headed out, just got up to speed, and traffic was way slow. My initial reaction is, oh man, what the heck? As I moved to the left lane. I saw police on the right side. I saw a police motorcycle ahead of me. I moved into the left lane. I began to see motorcycles after motorcycles after motorcycles after motorcycles. And I say motorcycles because it wasn't a Harley thing. It wasn't a Goldwing thing. It wasn't a trike thing. It was the run to the wall, central route. Man, roughly 15 miles of motorcycles, 2x2x2. Veterans, supporting veterans, delivering a wreath to the wall in DC.
Wow.
It was moving. I cried for 15 miles. It was unbelievably touching. When I got to Gallup, New Mexico, where Along for the Ride started, in the very same hotel, a hotel that their entire lobby, their entire lower floor is dedicated to MIA, KIA, POW, veterans, and service people. Literally entire lobby. I went out, dropped my trailer at the event site, came back, and that happened to be the overnight stop for the Run for the Wall.
No way. Well, no coincidence, huh?
No coincidence. So there was a lot of people there. There was a lot at the adjoining two or three hotels. Man, it was unbelievably emotional. It was also a great opportunity to thank every single one that I could make contact with for their service and tell them how much I respect them.
That's huge.
And Not one of them was down. And I was absolutely sure to thank them for what they were doing. If you get a chance, Google it, run for the wall or run to the wall, I believe it's called. Donate, help them out, join the cause. It's an unbelievable thing to witness, the sheer patriotism as we're going down Interstate 40 of people on overpasses and people standing on veterans standing on overpasses with their families holding flags and the veterans saluting for 15 miles of motorcycles. Cars parked all along the road with American flags out everywhere.
For the right reason.
For the right reason. So, with
Not
that,
not
ahead.
to make this about you, but how cool did it feel to be in the grinder that's wrapped in the old stars and stripes as you're going by this?
I'm not gonna lie, I was waving at people. I felt extra patriotic. I also felt like I hit that space in that time, in that area, in that vehicle with those people for a reason. That kind of stuff doesn't just happen for no reason. So it was pretty rad. I'm not going to lie. Even as I'm going down Route 66 in Gallup, the sheer lineup, because the event was at Red Rock Park. Their official stop of the ride was at Red Rock Park.
Yeah, once again, no coincidence.
No, sir. Not at all. So, with that, I'm going to say, God bless our veterans. God bless our active military. God bless those families that have given all. God bless our POWs. God bless the families of the MIA and KIA. God bless America. Mad Dog out.